What we're about to watch and video react towards is a great how-to. Have a discover. No, not even a conversation. Just what's the combination of a discussion and a conversation?
An argument.
Yes, this is how you win an argument with the leftist who refuses to see reality. That's right. We got this and so much more here today on the Joe Padula Show. Absolutely.
He doesn't wonder what it's like on the ground in Afghanistan. He's been there, serving our country and defending Lady Liberty.
Absolutely.
It's the Joe Padula Show, Clarksville's conversation.
Yeah. Boom. What's going on? What's up, Ed?
Not much.
What's up, producer Chris?
What's going on?
You guys watch Piers, Morgan?
Every so often.
I think I hear him on the radio every now and then.
He actually gets the curse in his show.
I couldn't stand him. I believe it was when he was on CNN.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's a British dude. But I'll tell you what, he's having some really good discussions on his show. He's got this show called Piers Morgan Uncensored. Hey, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Definitely be a part of this conversation. Throw those comments in there. If you got something to say, let us know. Definitely share this if you can. It'll help us out. F Facebook. F YouTube. Oh, waste of a day yesterday with the video gone.
Oh, yeah?
And it's gone. That sucks. It's all right. It's all right. The best is yet to come. Good. Okay, good. Tim's confirming we're not kicked off Facebook yet.
Not kicked off Facebook today?
Give us 10 minutes.
This leftist gets destroyed on the Donald Trump conviction felon.
Allegedly.
So, and again, are you still voting for a convicted felon like Donald Trump? We'll see what happens. But here, let's get into this real quick. So here's the panel from Piers' most recent show.
Oh, yeah, I know who it is. There it is.
So you guys know who Piers is. We went into him. He's all the way on the left of the screen. You got Canadian businessman Kevin O'Leary.
Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, Shark Tank, right?
Yep.
Yeah. He is actually thinking about buying TikTok.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, he's looking to go in on TikTok.
Right.
He can't afford to buy TikTok.
I like to see what he would do to it.
Right, kind of like what Elon did with X, but like what Chris said, be involved.
Yeah, be a part.
Tim goes gone, like the Mets season.
Oh, it's gone. I unfollowed them. They changed their whole logo this month. I'm like, Bazinga. Mm-hmm. You got this criminal defense lawyer, Mark Garagos. He's a leftist. Okay, this guy is on the left side of politics.
He's left of moderate.
Yeah.
And then, of course...
Yes, Michael J. Knowles. Daily Wire commentator. This man does some great stuff in the world of Christ as well. Fantastic. This guy's great. And he's got that smile that just makes you hate him. Then you got progressive political activist Francesca Fiorentini, who used to work for Al Jazeera.
Say it ain't so.
Yes. Used to do work for Al Jazeera and promoted the LGBTQ plus community for Al Jazeera.
No.
Which is kill you, kill you, kill you?
Wow. Yeah. So she must be a feisty one, this one. All right. It started off with what are two current scenarios. And let's go to defense lawyer Mark Garagos.
I think two things can be true at the same time. One is that the jury did their job with the evidence placed in front of them, and that the verdict was a correct one from a legal perspective. And the second view, which can run concurrently with this should never have got to court in the first place, and dragging an American president through a criminal court process over something so relatively trivial, driven by apparent political partisanship on the part of the people driving it, was a catastrophic error of judgment and a disaster for the country. Discuss.
Well, look, I don't disagree with you. You can have these two thoughts in your head. If you're going to bring a criminal case against one of the most reviled people in Manhattan and pick a jury in Manhattan and expect them to do anything but convict him, then I know nothing about the criminal law that I've been trying cases about. That was a slam dunk for the prosecution from the get-go. At the same time, I can tell you that it was, to my mind, it was reprehensible that you take a case that is basically misdemeanors and with an expired statute of limitations, and you do the mental gymnastics to contort this into a target crime that's not defined until closing argument, and make those into felonies, basically reviving an expired statute of limitations. I could go on and on about the legal nonsense that this is, but I'm not criticizing the jury. I criticize, number one, the prosecutor for bringing this case. Part of what makes the system work is prosecutors have to make hard decisions when to bring a case. Now, the jury did what they were given. That's on the judge. The judge, there's no such thing as directed verdicts in criminal cases. This was basically a directed verdict based on the jury instructions. As to the political, I'll just end it with this. I said 30 years ago when I was defending Susan McDougal, who was Bill Clinton's business partner in the Whitewater case, when she was being prosecuted by then independent counsel Ken Starr, be careful what you wish for, Republicans, because the chickens are going to come home to roost. Sure enough, that's where we are right now.
And those chickens are going to keep coming home to roost. So,
wow. All stemming from after going
just
after
made
Bill
the
Clinton.
list.
Yeah, the kiss my butt list. Very interesting. All right, but here, check this out. Okay, so once again, that was lefty Mark Garagos. But who does this help or hinder is the question that comes up next, and it goes to progressive activist Francesca Fiorentini, the one smiling all the way on the right. Let's take a look.
Francesca, my question for you is, I understand how joyous you must be feeling that Donald Trump has been convicted because he slept with a porn star 20 years ago and may have shuffled some business papers about it. But why is it good for America that one of your 46 presidents has been treated in such a humiliating manner over something so trivial? And why do you guys not see that this might help him rather than hinder him in the election?
I happen to believe, Piers, that it's good for America when you hold the person who has the highest office in the land to the standards of the American law. And in this case, New York state law, where he committed these crimes. I happen to believe that it is a telltale sign of coming totalitarianism, fascism, skirting of the law when you allow a president to simply do whatever he wants and actually never hold him accountable. But look, the reality is this, is that these aren't crimes that were on the books in every single state. These are crimes that are on the books in New York State, as we talked about, all right? And so he knew exactly what he was doing. In fact, this is the most important part, is that David Pecker of the National Enquirer refused to keep on paying his hush money payments because the dude was tired of getting paid back in expired Trump stakes. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do it this time, especially not with a porn star. And so Michael Cohen had to do the payments on behalf of Donald Trump. Michael Cohen already spent 3 years mostly on house arrest, but he was already sentenced to 3 years over this. This is squarely Trump's making. This has nothing to do with his base. It has nothing to do with protecting American democracy, like happened on January 6th, according to them. This has to do with Trump making his bronzer-stained bed with a porn star, trying to cover it up, and then getting caught doing it.
And out of interest, before I go to Michael, out of interest,
did you hear all of the, the backhand insults?
Yeah.
Right? Along the way. You could tell that this lady right here, she doesn't have emotional control over herself. So far, everyone else on the panel, maybe Michael knows, throws a little smile from here to here. But yeah, check this out, okay? Bill Clinton, right? What about Bill Clinton? So that gets asked. Here she goes. See how she responds.
Why is Bill Clinton able to have sex with an intern in the Oval Office when he's president and lie to the American people about it on national television? And why is he able to pay off Paula Jones $850,000, 4 times as much, 5 times as much as the Trump payment to Stormy Daniels, to get rid of a sexual harassment claim, again, while he's president? And he has no criminal court recourse for that. Why is that deemed to be better than what happened with Trump and Stormy?
That should be brought back up.
I don't think anyone is making that case, Piers. I'm
No,
not
I'm
here
asking
to
you,
defend
what's
Bill
the
Clinton
difference? What's the difference?
Or any predator. The difference is that he didn't cook the books financially using his own, using back channels in order to pay.
So paying
that
somebody off who
person
says you sexually harassed her, paying nearly $1 million while you're the president of the United States, and then having sex with an intern in the Oval Office and lying about it, that's fine because he's a Democrat.
Oh, see, no.
Piers, only the
Francesca?
leftists in your mind are making that argument.
Sorry?
She totally just did not answer the question.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right. It's a fair question. I mean,
it is.
Yeah. If that's your argument.
Yeah. Clinton did it while he was president.
Well, they didn't. He didn't cook the books. Yes, he paid her off.
Yeah.
Almost $1 million.
She got fired.
Hillary did for $850,000 to cover the dossier from Steele. So what happened there?
Well, that they got fined. That didn't go to court.
Right, but it's the exact same thing, and she was the governor of New York resident at the time.
So technically, all that stuff. So all that stuff need to be brought back up to every case that was ever like.
And that's gonna get brought up here in a little bit. Here, check.
Sorry?
Deflect.
I said only the Democrats and the leftist mob in your mind are making that argument that you're opposing to it.
So
You shouldn't have been talking shit.
Shouldn't have been. And then, she brings up sleeping with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
funny.
There's something wrong with them mentally.
She's got the eyes half closed, but she's got the eyes.
Oh, she's got the eyes. Believe me, I've dated those eyes before.
She got the body language too.
Uh-huh.
I will say this about Stormy Daniels. I think it's incredible that she accepted $130,000 from Michael Cohen because honestly, if I had the misfortune of sleeping with Donald Trump, no matter what the circumstances, let's say I had mad cow and then I did DMT on an empty stomach. If I had the misfortune of sleeping with Donald Trump, there is no amount of money you could pay me to keep quiet about it because I would never tell a single soul. I would fake my own death and move to the Galapagos and pretend to be a bird.
I mean, I would say it's very unlikely you would ever get the offer, but you do look quite like Karen McDougal, funny enough.
Karen McDougal is the Playboy playmate that
Clinton diddled.
No, Trump. That she said that Trump and her had an affair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in 2006.
Oh, so I'm not cute enough to.
No, I just said you are. I said you're very much in his.
I love that line.
Actually, it's a compliment. Yes.
Yeah, it was a compliment. Let's go to Michael.
See like that.
Yeah.
Don't be rude.
Already, they know, and they don't. No one on this panel has respect for her.
I don't think she has respect for herself.
Now, just see how much they paid her to show up.
Here's where it really gets interesting, because she absolutely hates Daily Wire, Christians, and Michael J. Knowles.
Why is that?
Well, now political lawfare, which is warfare using law, political lawfare, gets brought up, and it's Daily Wire is Michael J. Knowles' chance.
Because if all that happens in each term of office is one party trying to incarcerate the other's leader, I don't know where that leaves America in a few years' time.
Well, this will only come back to bite Democrats if they lose their grip on power, and obviously they don't think that they will. This is why President Biden the other day, when he was walking out of a press briefing, was asked, Mr. President, Donald Trump says that you are imprisoning him because he's your political rival. What do you say to that charge?
Well, I'll stop you there. We have the clip. Let's play the clip.
Mr. President, can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir?
There. That needs to be a shirt.
Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign?
I mean, you look like Jack Nicholson in The Shining at the end of that. But yeah, I mean, Michael, to pick up your point there, that's the clip you're referring to,
guys.
Yes, and it's pretty clear this is not a man who thinks that he has to be accountable to the American people. When you look at the federal charge against Trump, there was a poll that came out when that charge was brought that showed 62% of Americans think that it's primarily politically motivated. They just don't seem to care. And so this has been a ratcheting up, as we've all noted on the panel, of trends that have been built up for some years now. Some would say going back to Richard Nixon. But certainly in the early Trump campaign, the Democrats tried to stop him from being president by spying on him and cooking up fake intelligence, ironically enough, with Russia. And that didn't work. Then they tried to throw him out by impeaching him twice. That didn't work. Then they tried to kick him out by rigging the election and changing all the voter rules, in some cases in contravention of state constitutions leading up to that election. That did get him out of office, and he did leave office, but then he didn't go away. He kept running again. So then they indicted him 4 times. Now they've convicted him. They're going to threaten to throw him in prison. Pretty soon they're going to threaten to send him to St. Helena. But this has absolutely nothing to do with the law. As was noted earlier, at most you're talking about a misdemeanor that would have already expired under the statute of limitations. I'm not even convinced that there was really a misdemeanor that Trump committed. So my fellow panelist here is celebrating that the rule of law has been vindicated and overturned 234 years of American legal tradition. I would challenge her to see if she could possibly articulate how and what crime Trump committed, because so far Alvin Bragg, the DA, has failed to do so. The judge in the case, Judge Merchan, has failed to do so. And they can't do it because Trump didn't commit any of the crimes for which he's been convicted.
Well, let's just ask quickly before I go to Kevin.
Did you see those eyes? Okay. So, Knowles just asked the question, what's the crime? That's been the question everyone's been asking, right? What's the crime? What's the crime? So Morgan is now going to throw it back to Francesca and be like, okay, what's the crime? Francesca, what is the crime?
Francesca, just on that point, what crime did Trump commit?
It was financial crimes. It was white collar crimes. That is exactly what they charged him. He was convicted on.
What was the crime?
It's New York State law.
I understand. What was the crime?
It is
What law he break?
Francesca,
I don't even
listen to Garagos try and listen. We're on the same side. We vote the same way. Let me try and help you out, kid. Listen to Garagos right here.
Francesca,
I don't even it is literally he just got convicted on 34 counts.
Francesca, what was the crime?
Of cooking the actual books.
What was the crime?
You are not allowed. So you are not allowed to use your own financial, your own money to pay off somebody, and then he logged it as something different. He logged it as just a regular payment, but he was actually paying off this porn star to keep quiet, which, if he hadn't been running for president, would not have mattered, but he was, and so it impacted campaign finance laws in New York State. Okay, that is what Juan Merchan just oversaw this. Alvin Bragg brought these charges because Michael Cohen was already sentenced to 3 years to do it.
Let's just go before Kevin. I'll be very, very, very patient. We'll come to you.
Look, I'm no expert. Let me just say, hang on,
No,
Michael.
Francesca.
You are no expert.
By the
That's
way.
because the campaign finance law is a federal law.
Hang on,
Anyway.
Francesca. I want to go to Mark. You're the lawyer. Is anything Francesca just said, is that actually the crime?
See, Mark just nailed it. I'm sorry, not Mark. Knowles just nailed it. She was like, well, then they used it, and it's a violation of campaign finance.
It's political bullshit.
So is Donald, which is federal, which the state cannot prosecute.
Yeah. And the feds already said they weren't going to.
The feds had the chance, and they passed on it.
They're like, there's no way.
So again, you heard the the Ralph Cramden, if you will. Norton! Well, here we go. Well, Francesca gets destroyed by her own lefty buddy in the middle. Criminal defense lawyer Mark Garagos.
Look, let me just say, I like Francesca a lot, and we probably agree on 80% of our worldviews. However, Francesca, the way you just described it, call me afterwards and I'll educate you, because that's not what happened. There was no theory that was given to the jurors. The jurors were told it could have been campaign finance. It could have been tax. It could have been false books. They were told they didn't have to specify, and specifically told they did not have to agree unanimously. That's what irks me. Lifelong Democrat, no fan of Trump, never voted for Trump, never will. But I will tell you, as somebody who has spent his entire career with kind of taking on unpopular causes and holding the government accountable, I have to tell you, I do that for a reason. And the reason is this kind of shenanigans, and that's the best light I can spin it, in the criminal courts has no place in a federal election.
No, I agree.
The campaign finance laws were federal, not state, and the state laws had nothing to do with it.
Okay, I want to go to, hang on, I want to go to
Just in case you guys didn't hear it.
Emotional damage. She does have emotional damage.
And yes, Gail, you are right. She would keep Joe's car.
Yes, guaranteed. On the third date, this one.
No, she probably flat your tires.
Yeah, that's not even third date. That's first date.
Her poor husband. She is married.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, a guy with a weak handshake. All right, so then it goes, to then we go to the Kevin O'Leary,
Mr. Wonderful,
and he's asked, "Is the GOP even more united?"
Kevin, been waiting very patiently. Kevin, you are a very successful businessman, as Trump has obviously been in his career too.
Yes, true.
Do you think, in all honesty, if you were caught up in something like this, and I'm not for a moment suggesting you would want to have a one-night stand with Stormy Daniels, but if you went down this road and ran for office, or not run for office, if you just ran for, say, to be CEO of a company, do you think it would ever have led to a criminal case? Because the argument is that a regular business guy who's not actually running for the presidency would be treated very differently, and therefore the law has not been seen to be fairly applied here.
Oh, did you see?
I think half the...
Look at her eyes. Look, watch her eyes. Listen to Piers. Watch her eyes. Okay.
Be treated very differently, and therefore the law has not been seen to be fairly applied here.
Keep rolling.
She did too.
Oh my God, the law was not equally applied. Yet you let me know what one other person has ever had this kind of thing happen. I'm telling you, New York's books are gonna.
Oh,
the amount of businesses in New York, those books are cooked so well. You would think that every one of them went to Escoffier.
And I'll tell you what, Mr. Wonderful here is going to bring up how this is going to damage New York business-wise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For the law has not been seen to be fairly applied here.
Oh, those eyes. She can't even
I think half the country in the U.S. believes this is politically motivated, which is not a good thing. It's having more impact on the state of New York, which is seen as unstable. Whether the case has flaws in it or not will be solved for in the appellate system. So most people assume, because of the importance of the situation, that it will go through the appellate system as quickly as possible, if necessary, to the Supreme Court. In the end of the day, these things balance themselves. The damage done to New York started back in the other litigation around real estate.
Yes.
Quietly, large projects, those are over $1 billion, are not being started in New York currently. People are waiting until things stabilize. And I've moved projects out of New York to places like Oklahoma, North Dakota, West Virginia, Montana, Pennsylvania, much more stable environments. It's too difficult to work in that unstable environment. And the real problem is you can't raise institutional capital right now. The capital from around the world thinks New York's a little off kilter. Now, something else to consider.
I don't think she has the intelligence to understand what this man's saying right now. Like, watch her face while this guy's talking. She doesn't, it's not registering.
And the real problem is you can't raise institutional capital right now. The capital from around the world thinks New York's a little off kilter. There's something else to consider about Alvin Bragg, which I think history will prove to be correct. You've got to remember, Donald Trump only 24 months ago, in the middle of the first term of Biden, did not have control of his party. About a third of them were rebelling, if you want to use that word, because they were concerned about the controversy around Trump and they were looking for new leadership. And he was challenged. But something happened that changed everything, and this is the law of unintended consequences. Alvin Bragg started charging Trump, and immediately the entire Republican Party coalesced behind him almost in 48 hours. Of course, the country bifurcated into this being a political witch hunt using lawfare, as a tool, and we're still debating that. But here's what's really interesting. If Trump...
Wait a minute. Hold on. Just remember this, okay? Phone's in her hand, her looking down.
She's Googling.
Okay. Just
Still debating that. But here's what's really interesting. If Trump becomes president, I think he has a big debt to Alvin Bragg.
Right.
Alvin Bragg is the kingmaker.
Yeah.
He made Trump president by polarizing the country so much and motivating the base so much that in the last 42 hours, Trump has passed $60 million in fundraising. That's an all-time record for him.
Look at that face. What?
Now, yeah, I know. And now it's over, I think it's over 300 million today.
Over 300? I know it was over 200 million.
That in the last 42 hours, Trump has passed $60 million in fundraising. That's an all-time record for him. So what's happening here is this unusual time, and I understand that you may not like that as an unintended consequence if you're Alvin Bragg, but I think history will show he made Donald Trump president one more time. And that's just the way it is.
You know what? I completely agree. I think
Yes,
it's one of the
because-
most willful... I'll come to Francesca for a response. It seems to be one of the most willfully stupid acts of self-harm I've seen any political party commit.
Ron DeSantis would be on the ticket right now if they did not go after Trump. It's just facts.
Yeah.
And that's not the ticket I wanted, but once they started, once the feds went into Mar-a-Lago, that was it. That was it. Made a martyr out of him. Then Alvin Bragg. Oh, we're going after you.
Letitia James.
Right. Fannie Willis.
Fannie Willis.
Which now that court case seems to be not being going forward until after the election.
If it goes forward at all.
Then they talk about the Never Trumpers and the independents. Here's Kevin O'Leary. Mr. Wonderful. Why do they call him Mr. Wonderful?
Because allegedly he's supposed to have such a wonderful attitude on life.
Oh, all right.
You had Trump right on his knees, done. And you've revived the rotting political corpse of this guy, and you've now got him roaring back to the White House. And the only thing, as Mitt Romney, of all people, who hates Trump and represents by absolutely the most moderate part of the Republican Party, when even he says Democrats think they can put out the Trump fire with oxygen, it's political malpractice.
Huh.
He's right, because the only thing that could further guarantee a Trump victory is if they try and put him in jail on July the 11th, which, by the way, I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, it's remarkable times. We haven't seen polls out since the verdict, and so everybody's waiting to see what happens with the unintended consequence of this in terms of just independent voters. And so here's the thing to realize. If you polled 1,000 independent voters, and they will decide the election, most people agree with that in states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, etc. I bet you, and we've had the same on this panel, we're debating it, 99% of them have no idea what this case was about at all.
Not on a state level.
And have no idea.
Yeah, if Trump was to pardon himself, it would have to be one of the federal cases, right?
Right.
But there's a state case here, which...
So that's why they did a state case, huh?
Of course.
So I've actually got the reasoning for his name.
Oh, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone was trying to sell a publishing deal in season 1 of the Shark Tank to them for music, and he proposed an aggressive 51% equity because he wanted control of the business. Barbara Cochran turned around and said, well, aren't you Mr. Wonderful?
And that's how Mr. Wonderful came.
And that's how he got his name.
All right. Mr. Wonderful.
No idea what this case was about at all. And have no idea what exactly he did. And I'm not sure they care. The fact that more than half of them think it's politically motivated is unsettling.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, we'll get finished off in the appellate system, but this is a remarkable time in American history, and not.
So he brings up it's going to get finished in the appellate system. Okay,
Right.
Watch. Did you see her reaction
She
there?
starts shaking her head no.
But this is a remarkable time in American history, and not that great for the American brand.
It has nothing to do with the law. It's just get Trump. That's it. That's all what's in their brain. That's got to be exhausting.
I mean, you figure he's got the most. Trump's got to be doing something right. He's got the most real estate and pays nothing for it.
You started talking
all
about
their
the
heads
beginning.
rent-free.
That's right, rent-free.
This is more like a Venezuela kind of Cuba, Banana Republic story. You got the porn star. All this stuff is really not what G7 countries do to their leaders.
I completely agree.
Did you see that big exhale? Did you see that? She can't control it. Hey, look at this breath.
Stuff is really not what G7 countries do to their leaders.
I completely agree. This is Francesca. I just don't get. We see you're laughing, but Mitt Romney, for Mitt Romney to come down so squarely on the side of Trump.
I do.
Okay.
She buzzes well, though.
Yeah, she does. She, you know.
What? Oh no!
Oh no! Watch how she gets into this, the moral of it all. She keeps bringing up the moral. She couldn't win on the law, so now she's just going to the morals of it all.
Ed Reynolds goes, "This new schedule sucks, Padula. I keep catching the show late, but I am getting notifications."
Okay, we went live a half hour ago. Did you get the notification a half hour ago, Ed? And how you doing, buddy?
I do want to just say, look, so the crimes were falsifying business records. Now, the reason I didn't know that before is because I'm not a lawyer and I'm not the journalist who is anchoring this entire show who should have told you that it was falsifying business records. Now, on the other
because those aren't felonies.
I hear you that most Americans don't care about falsifying business records. I agree with Kevin and I agree with Piers. However, I will say this. Most Americans also are very much go on gut. And they don't like that a candidate is now a convicted felon, but moreover, this candidate